It begins not with a man, but with an obsession. A relentless pursuit of knowledge that blurs the line between healing and destruction. In hidden labs, they tamper with the essence of life, injecting glowing green serums into translucent jellyfish, slicing into starfish with scientific precision, and feeding cocktails of toxins to lizards, all in the name of unlocking the secrets of regeneration. They chase the impossible dream that to regenerate is to be immortal, but this quest is fueled by a dark, forbidden sin. Years ago, at a desert military base in 1966, a brilliant scientist named David Banner worked on that same dream. Frustrated by the military's refusal to allow human trials, he made a fateful decision. He would become his own test subject. He injects himself with an unstable serum, altering his own DNA in ways he cannot comprehend. Soon after, his wife Edith joyfully tells him she is pregnant. But David's joy turns to ash. He looks at his newborn son, Bruce, and sees not a blessing but a curse. In his notes, a single, terrifying question haunts him. As Bruce grows, David becomes a prisoner of his own fear, desperately searching for a cure for the monster he believes he has created. The boy is different, unnervingly calm, suppressing emotions that should boil over. His mother notices, telling David to wake up. The military, led by the stern General Ross, discovers David's unsanctioned experiments. He shuts down the project, firing David and confining him to the base. Driven by paranoia and rage, David triggers a gamma reactor meltdown, intending to destroy the entire facility. He rushes home, a storm of madness in his eyes, believing his son is a danger that must be eliminated. Little 4-year-old Bruce hides under a table, clutching his toys, as his father confronts his mother. A knife flashes. A woman screams. And Bruce's mind, unable to process the horror, buries the memory deep within a lightless vault. Years later, the boy, now a man, is Dr. Bruce Banner. He is a brilliant geneticist at a Berkeley Research Institute, but he is emotionally detached, a ghost haunted by nightmares he can't recall. He works alongside Betty Ross, a gifted scientist in her own right, and the daughter of the very same General Ross from his forgotten past. Their former romance has cooled into a strained professional partnership, largely due to Bruce's inability to connect. As Betty puts it, she has a thing for emotionally distant men. Together, they develop nanomes, microscopic machines designed to repair cellular damage under the influence of low-level gamma radiation. During a critical experiment, the equipment malfunctions. A colleague is trapped in the path of a lethal gamma ray burst. Without a second's thought, Bruce throws himself in front of the man, absorbing the full deadly blast. An explosion of green light, a scream of agony. But Bruce doesn't die. He wakes up in a hospital bed, feeling not just fine, but better than ever. His bad knee is now his good knee. Betty is stunned. The nanomeds and gamma radiation, a combination that has killed every other test subject, have somehow repaired him. But they didn't just fix him, they unlocked something. Later that night, a mysterious new janitor visits Bruce in his hospital room. It is David Banner, his long-lost father, released after 30 years. He reveals Bruce's true surname and speaks in riddles about what is inside him. He says this, his eyes glinting with a strange mix of pride and madness. He wants Bruce to control his temper before unleashing his 3 monstrous, mutated dogs on the lab. Meanwhile, the military is closing in. General Ross, alerted to the incident, questions Bruce, digging into his forgotten past. And a slimy corporate rival, Glenn Talbot, wants to exploit Bruce's research for profit. The pressure on Bruce is building. He is a ticking time bomb of repressed trauma and gamma-charged rage. His father calls him, his voice a venomous whisper in his ear, pushing him, prodding him, wanting him to unleash the power inside. In the lab, a flashback to the night of his mother's death overwhelms him. The rage, bottled up for decades, finally erupts. His body contorts, his muscles swell, his skin turns a monstrous shade of green. Bruce Banner is gone. In his place stands the Hulk. With primal fury, the Hulk demolishes the lab, tossing heavy machinery like toys. He hurls a particle accelerator through the window, crushing a police car below. He comes face to face with his father, David, who looks upon the creature with a chilling satisfaction. The Hulk, confused by fragmented memories, leaps away into the night, vanishing without a trace. The next morning, Bruce wakes up in his own bed, with no memory of the night's rampage. He only recalls a vivid dream, but before he can process it, General Ross and his men storm the house. They place Bruce under house arrest, cutting him off from the world. A worried Betty, defying her father's orders, seeks out the one person who might have answers, David Banner. She finds him in a decrepit house, surrounded by his monstrous dogs. David's conversation is a chilling dance of madness and manipulation. He speaks of Bruce as something unique, something the world will never tolerate. He then makes a terrifying move, calling the general to report Betty's location, essentially using her as bait. Meanwhile, General Ross interrogates Bruce, trying to force him to remember the trauma of his childhood. Ross insists, but Bruce's memory remains a locked door. Ross confines Bruce to an underground desert base, the very one from his past. At night, David unleashes his mutated dogs. He whispers, holding Betty's scarf to their noses. At the same time, Talbot, consumed by greed and envy, arrives to confront Bruce. He taunts him, tortures him, trying to provoke the transformation for his own gain. He pushes too far. As Talbot raises his hand to strike, the rage surges, the change begins. Bruce's eyes glow green, his body expands, shattering the chair and the room around him. The Hulk throws Talbot aside, like a doll, and smashes his way out of the compound. He races through the desert, a primal force of nature, heading instinctively toward the only person he trusts. Betty. Betty is at her remote cabin, unaware of the approaching danger. Suddenly, she finds herself face to face with a giant green creature. Terrified, she can only stare as he gently reaches for her. In his eyes, she sees not a monster, but a flicker of Bruce, confused, scared, and protective. But the tender moment is shattered by a savage snarl. David's mutated dogs have arrived. The Hulk immediately places himself between Betty and the beasts. A brutal, desperate battle ensues. The Hulk fights with raw power, tearing one dog apart, wrestling with another. A massive bulldog-like creature. He rips a tree from its roots to crush his foe. Finally, facing the last and largest of the hounds, he ends the fight with a devastating display of strength. The battle won, the adrenaline fades, and the colossal creature collapses. As Betty watches from her car, the Hulk slowly, painfully, transforms back into the exhausted, naked form of Bruce Banner. She takes him in, wrapping him in a blanket. He is shivering, vulnerable. He confesses something terrifying. When he is the Hulk, when he loses all control, a part of him likes it. The power, the rage, the freedom. Knowing they have nowhere to run, Betty makes a heartbreaking choice. She calls her father. As military helicopters descend, she sedates Bruce, promising to keep him safe as soldiers storm the cabin and take him away. Bruce is transported back to the desert base, a high-value prisoner in an underground fortress. Betty pleads with her father, insisting Bruce is a human being who needs help, not a monster to be caged. But Ross is resolute, he declares, revealing his belief that Bruce is damned to repeat David's destructive path. Meanwhile, Talbot, having survived his encounter with the Hulk, convinces the military to give him control of the project. His goal? To provoke the Hulk again, but this time, to carve off a piece for himself, to patent and weaponize the power. He straps Bruce into a sensory deprivation tank, a water-filled sphere designed to trigger repressed memories. He taunts Bruce, telling him Betty has abandoned him, hoping the emotional pain will force the change. It works. The trauma of his mother's death erupts from his subconscious. The monitors flare, a surge of energy pulses through the tank. The Hulk is loose again. He shatters the containment sphere and rises, more powerful than ever. Talbot orders his men to hit him with containment foam, which quickly hardens, trapping the beast. Thinking he has won, Talbot approaches with an enormous drill to take his sample. The Hulk breaks free, swats Talbot away, and begins his rampage through the base. General Ross can only watch in horror as his multi-billion-dollar facility is torn apart. The Hulk smashes through concrete walls and bursts out into the open desert. This is no longer a man. This is a force of nature, bounding across the landscape in colossal leaps that defy gravity. Ross scrambles his forces. Tanks roll across the sand, their cannons trained on the green behemoth. The first shell hits the Hulk, staggering him, but it only makes him angrier. He retaliates with terrifying force. He grabs a tank, rips its turret off, and uses it as a club to smash the others. He spins another tank around like a top before flinging it, miles across the desert. The army is powerless against him. Next, Ross sends in the air cavalry, 4 Comanche attack helicopters. They corner the Hulk in a labyrinth of desert canyons, unleashing a torrent of machine, gunfire and rockets. The Hulk leaps from cliff to cliff, a green blur against the red rock. He takes down one helicopter, then another. In a truly unbelievable feat, he catches a live missile in mid-air and redirects it into the third chopper. Realizing ground and air forces are useless, Ross authorizes his last resort, a high-altitude strike. 2 F-22 Raptors scream across the sky. The Hulk, with an incredible leap, latches onto one of the jets. The pilot, under orders from Ross, takes the plane into the upper atmosphere, hoping the lack of oxygen will subdue the creature. As the jet reaches the edge of space, the Hulk loses consciousness and falls, a green meteor plummeting back to Earth. He crashes into the San Francisco Bay. Just as Ross orders a final, lethal strike, Betty intervenes. She knows he is coming for her. The Hulk erupts from a city street, tearing the asphalt apart. But as helicopters swarm and SWAT teams close in, he freezes. He sees Betty walking toward him, unafraid. The rage subsides. The giant sinks to his knees. A voice. The beast has been calmed. The military takes him into custody without a fight. In a final, desperate gambit, David Banner turns himself in. His only request, one last chance to speak to his son. General Ross, against his better judgment, agrees, setting up a confrontation inside a massive electromagnetic chamber. The reunion is not one of reconciliation, but of horrifying revelation. David reveals his true plan. Having experimented on himself again, he can now absorb the properties of anything he touches. But his power is unstable. He needs the Hulk's limitless energy to become a god. He snarls. He bites into a power cable, absorbing the base's entire electrical grid. He becomes a being of pure, crackling energy. The surge of power forces Bruce to transform. The two titans clash. David, now a shape-shifting monster, morphs into water, then into rock, battling the Hulk across a desolate lake. He tries to absorb the Hulk's power, but it is too much. The Hulk's rage is infinite. The Hulk roars, unleashing the full, boundless extent of his energy and his pain. David is overwhelmed, bloating into a grotesque, unstable sphere of green energy. Seeing the catastrophic energy buildup, General Ross makes the only call he can. He authorizes a tactical gamma-charge missile. A missile strikes. A silent, blinding flash of light engulfs the lake, seemingly wiping both father and son from existence. 1 year later, the world believes Bruce Banner is dead. General Ross keeps a close watch on Betty, still haunted by the Green Spectre. But far away, deep in the Amazon rainforest, a quiet man with haunted eyes provides medical aid to the poor. When corrupt soldiers try to steal his supplies, they push him too far. He snarls. The quiet man looks up, a storm gathering in his eyes, and delivers a chilling warning. He is angry.